Aries continues to improve with getting haltered and leading. This week was especially poignant for me. I believe Aries is finally grounded enough to start grieving outwardly for the loss of his family, his home, and the life he knew. From what I've seen and heard, every Mustang goes through a period of depression. How could they not? It was very hard for me to see the sad expression on his face. The good thing is that he still has a purpose in life. His life will have meaning to him, something he wouldn't have gotten had he gone to long-term holding. He will brighten up. Aries is getting much better about leading. Soon I will take him out into the pasture next door for some walks. It will be his first time out, maybe this coming week. I am also getting progressively further down his body. The challenge is still having him accept me from a different perspective, not head-on, but through one eye at his side. I have started to pet Aries more, taking my hand off in between each stroke. This helps him get used to the motion of my hand leaving him and touching him again. This will lead to him letting me put my hand on him in other places without starting at his face. There are times when I am stroking his neck that he gets very, very close to me, trying to keep me in both eyes. He will practically put his whole head in the bend between my arm and my body. I think Aries is getting a bit bored with walking in circles around the round pen. I think he would be much more engaged and move forward with more conviction when I take him out into the neighboring pasture. Not that I blame him for thinking the round pen is boring, but I have to have some degree of confidence in his leading before I can get him into a more open space. Working with two hands is a big thing. He has to keep track of both hands at one time. Horses, like people, are soothed by pressure from both sides, like hugging. There are a couple of training methods that involve either submerging a horse's body in water or some type of pellets. The full body pressure actually soothes the horse. It's similar to the hug machine developed by Dr. Temple Grandin, an autistic woman who revolutionized commercial animal husbandry. So Aries will eventually find two hands on either side of him soothing, but for now, it's more of an obstruction, which makes him uncomfortable. Aries is a man of routine. He quickly picks up on patterns. Every day after we play, I let him go roll. Then he goes to the gate, asks to be let back into his pen, and I let him in. Routine is good. On Sunday, I did my usual routine with Aries. Little bit of yielding, get the halter on, practice leading, and touching him. But today, we were going to have a very special visitor. My friend Caroline was coming out to show me how to do T-touch bodywork with Aries. I particularly like this shot. He was really trying to keep me in both eyes, so he folded himself in so close, he was practically cross-eyed looking at me. One thing Aries has to learn to deal with is fast movement. Creeping around him for the rest of his life is not an option. So I have started to raise and wave my arms around, jump up and down, and in general look like a lunatic. None of this is directed towards him. As discussed earlier with Dakota, he needs to differentiate between movement and movement with intent. Since I was already there, I figured why not start brushing Aries. I got the mane and tail comb and introduced it to him. There are lots of nerve endings around the roots of the hair, and having hair pulled on gently is quite soothing. Once he got past the weird sound the brush made when I brushed his forelock, he seemed to enjoy it. While I was brushing Aries, his neighbor, a 2-year-old Mustang filly, had gotten a hold of a plastic bag. In her panic to get away from it, she clenched her teeth and couldn't drop the bag. She was running away from it while it was still in her mouth. She finally dropped it. My friend started out by doing some body work on me, showing me how to use my hands and what would be the most effective. It was interesting to watch Aries watch us. He was quite intrigued and even checked in on me a couple times. At one point, I got very dizzy and had to bend over to recover. Aries seemed concerned and reached over to give me a good sniff. I was touched. He seemed very interested in what we were doing and again reached out to check on me. Soon it would be his turn. I started on his face, an area packed with nerve endings. Endorphins are released when the center of the face is massaged. Using both hands and even pressure, I made small circles on either side of his face. There is a spot below the forelock that some bodywork methodologies call the third eye. Whether you believe in the Eastern concepts of energy and the body or not, the change in his eye, right there, when I massaged that spot, was instant and marked. He relaxed. Now this was cool. Aries pulled away a bit to process and lick and chew. But it seemed like his face itched and he really wanted to drop his head and itch on his leg. But I was still too close, so I offered to scratch his itchy spot. I could see him enjoy it, and a couple of times he actually rubbed against my hand, getting it in just the right spot. Nice to see him thinking of me differently. A whole lot of what happens in gentling a Mustang seems small. Like now he stays by the fence when I feed him, whereas before he would always step away. These little choices are huge in his mind, and they signify a growing relationship.